Welcome to McFly Angler. I've never been a guide, but I still enjoy teaching people how to catch more fish. So join me in this video where I show you how I tie this fly. I was on Instagram and I came across TS Fishing Adventures' post of a squid fly that I thought looked amazing. So I had to recreate it, and I asked them for permission to do so on video for you guys. They have an awesome Instagram, so go check them out. But let's get started on tying this fly. For a hook, I like the Risen 068 SS in size 2. And for thread, I like Vivis Power Thread 140 in white. Start your thread behind the hook eye and snip off the waist. Then bring your thread down to the bend of the hook, and then back up a couple wraps. Now we need a few strands of pearl crystal flash. 3 to 4 is fine. And then cut these in half to make double the strands. Tie these in at the center of the bunch and on top of the hook shank. Then fold the forward-facing strands rearward and tie those down as well. Also build a little thread bump to help splay the feathers out. So now we need some feathers. And I like using these saddle hackle, grizzly, and white feathers. You need to find the finest of the feathers, and holding the saddle upside down helps identify those. Pluck off 2 of them. Then tie them in on either side of the hook, and so they extend out about 3 to 4 times the hook shank length, about as far as the Flashaboo. Also, you can see they are splayed outward a bit. Now we need some white rubber legs, and these medium round rubber legs work great. Pull off 1 strand of legs, which are very long, and then fold them in half, and then in half again to make 4 equal legs. Then to offset the length a bit, pull 2 of the legs longer, and then tie them in so they extend out no further than the hackle feathers. Snip off the waist and clean up the section a bit. Now we need 4 of the fine white hackle feathers, and tie those in with 2 on either side of the fly, like so. To wrap the hook, you need to use Estaz or cactus chenille in pearl. So I chose cactus chenille, and a piece this long is all you need. Pull off some of the chenille at the tip to expose the core, and tie that core down with tight wraps. Then proceed to wrap this around the hook shank with touching wraps to cover all of the thread. Tie it down tight and clip off the excess chenille. And then clean up that area with a few smooth wraps. Now we need some white EP fiber, and a small amount like this works just fine. You need to cut this in half twice to make a clump about this large. Also make sure you clip off the tip to make it square like so. Now tie this piece in on top of the hook with a few loose wraps. And you can use your thumb to spread out the fiber a bit so it's not all clumped together in the center. Now you won't need all that fiber, so you can cut it off so it extends just past the hook bend. Then take the section you clipped off and tie it in on the bottom of the fly in the same manner. And spreading it out a bit with your thumb is also helpful here as well. You're now done with the tying part of the head of this fly, so you can whip finish the fly here. You will want to trim the EP fiber to shape, and doing so is quite simple. Just make 1 angle cut like so, and then shape it to more of a round top, trying to mimic the look of a squid head. Do the same thing on the bottom section as well. Now we'll need some eyes, and squid do have very large eyes, so I like using the large red 3D self-adhesive eyes for this. Place them on evenly on both sides of the fly, just behind the hook eye. Then we'll need some UV resin. I like using Solarez Thin Hard formula and also their Flex formula for this. Start with a thin hard formula and place a drop in between the eyes on top and then cure that hard with UV light. Then place a drop on the bottom and cure it hard as well. Now I like to take the Flex and add it all the way around the head of the fly and over the eyes to really secure them into place. You can now cure the Flex, which will turn this into a rubbery type of head, which I think feels a lot like a squid. You can build up the shape here as well by adding more resin in certain places if you want. Now that you're done with the head of this fly, let's move to the body. RZA makes some awesome articulated shanks that are perfect for this application, and I'm using the 35mm size. As you can see, they have an eye at one end, and an open hook at the other. Place this into your vise with the open hook exposed. Start your thread just behind the hook and trim off the waste. Now place your head through the hook like so. Then close that hook with the thread and make a few thread wraps to secure it tightly into place. You want to make sure there isn't too much movement with the head, so it can foul on itself. And this is about perfect here. So once you're happy, whip finish the fly. Now this is very important. You need to use some super glue here to harden up the thread to really secure this hook. Let the super glue dry before moving on to the next step. Now you're going to need to attach the shank onto your vise, which can get awkward, but it is possible. I like to add a little weight to this fly, with 10 to 15 wraps of 0.015 size lead wire. Then you can start your thread just behind the shank eye, and bring your thread back up over the lead wraps. I find it easier to do this if you leave your tag end on, and use that to guide the wraps over the lead bump. Oops! Just reattach if this happens. Now bring your thread back as far as you can on the shank. So last week I made a video on creating a dubbing brush, and we'll use that exact brush here today. Simply attach the brush on with tight wraps. Then attach the remainder of the cactus chenille you use for the head of the fly, and bring your thread up to the eye of the shank. Proceed to make touching wraps up the hook shank with the chenille, stroking all the fibers rearward with each wrap. Capture the chenille with a few tight wraps and clip off the waist. Then clean up the head with a couple wraps as well. Then we will start palmering the brush up the shank, making sure to stroke the fibers rearward constantly. Capture the wire when you reach the head of the fly, and then you can simply helicopter off the brush, since it's made with only a few strands of wire. Now you can whip finish your fly. It is important at this step to cement the head of the fly, and for that I like using Solarez thin hard formula, so do so before proceeding, unlike I didn't. Now you want to pick out the brush, and also brush it with a stiff toothbrush like so. To trim this to shape, simply pull the fibers up on top of the fly, and make an angled cut where it's finer at the eye of the shank and thicker at the head of the fly. And do the same cut to the bottom of the fly as well. Now squid tend to be fatter than they are tall, so just make a few cleanup cuts here on the side of the fly. And one more brush out with a few small trims, and the fly is finished. So again, thanks TS for allowing me to tie up your pattern on video. You made an awesome fly here. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you like this fly, and I really do like it, and I think it's going to work wonders for me fishing for halibut and sand bass in the harbors of Southern California. Oh, by the way, don't forget to check out www.risenfly.com because I got you guys a discount on everything in their store. 15% off simply by typing in McFly at checkout. They have awesome fly tying materials, accessories, and even rods and reels at a fraction of the cost of other companies. Also, help support my channel by purchasing one of my hats or shirts with my awesome logo on them. Links to both the Risen Fly and my merchandise are in the description section of this video. I will see you on the next video. Now you go catch some fish.